I find video game grading to be a very weird thing. Like myself personally, I'm not into it. And I think the people who are, there's maybe two types of people that are into grading video games. But it's been a very controversial topic. A lot of conspiracies, accusations out there. And this isn't just limited to video game grading. I mean, there's been all these kind of weird things going on with coin grading, sports card, grading, Pokemon, comic books. There's been controversies, accusations, proven fraud in the past over the years. So this isn't necessarily a new thing, but it is an interesting thing. Specifically late last year, we were seeing these accusations towards Wada's co-founder with selling their own graded games, which definitely would be a conflict of interest. How do you have your own company grade shit and then sell it? It just seems kind of strange. Like, are you bumping up your grade? I don't know. I think the idea of grading something it's weird in the sense that, like, where does that scale come from? I understand they have criteria, but it seems like sometimes it could be subjective. I've seen plenty of people with, like, Pokemon cards that have been graded who crack the case and resubmit it and get a better grade. Like, that, it's just weird to me. There's no universal system that's flawless for grading, so these numbers are very subjective, in my opinion. And I think the couple types of people who are into this are, one, people who are into it for the business aspect of it as an investment, a long-term investment. Hey, this game was worth $50 and I got it graded, and now it's worth, I could sell it for 10 times. I don't necessarily think worth is the right term, because, it's worth this would be like a universal thing. Like, everybody accepts, okay, now that it got a 9.0 grade, instead of it being a $50 game, it's $1 million game, and that's a given. It's not a given, so worth, I think, is the wrong word. It's worth it to the right person, maybe, but it just seems weird. Yeah, business people looking at investments to make money, and then I could see also the other side of it, which I think a lot of people, it's just trading hands over investment, like, opportunities, but I could also see somebody who says, you know what, I love this game growing up. I want a sealed copy of it, like, hidden behind an acrylic case with a nice grade, to never be opened again, just to be stared at for all eternity because I like it. I love that game for whatever reason. Nostalgia, memories, it means something to them, whatever, and no hate toward anybody who's into this kind of stuff. It's just not for me, and I know it's not for a lot of other people. Looking at it as a piece of entertainment that is being, like, imprisoned to never be used again, I don't know, but people can do with their items as they will. A lot of people collect figures, artwork, stuff like that. If they want to put something that is a, physical form of media that could be used to play a game behind an acrylic case and stare at it as a decoration, that's fine, right? But a follower of mine, Michelle Sikora, I appreciate the heads up on this, brought up that Limited Run Games has this auction where they partnered with VGA to auction a graded convention-exclusive copy of Castlevania Anniversary Collection on the Switch. And this kind of just reading that first line, you're like, what? They're getting in on this mess too? This seems crazy, right? But the next part, 100% of the sale will be donated to St. Jude, and the bidding starts today. So I found this interesting. We'll read some of these comments because there's some interesting ones there. But here is the eBay listing for the auction. It's currently at $520 with 30 bids with almost 5 days to go. Sunday at 8:06 a.m. Pacific is when it will end. And I thought it was kind of weird. I saw Limited Run. They only have 26 feedback, and they're at 81.8% positive. If I didn't know who they were, and I was just looking at things on eBay, and I saw you had a rating that low, to me, that's low. Like, I would just avoid you like the plague type of thing. If you're not close to 100%, I avoid you. If you're, like, a little below, like 95, I might look. Maybe there's some, like, weirdness that happened, and you can look past it, type of thing. But a lot of times I won't deal with people with ratings that low. But I think with theirs, it's because they have so few, ratings, sales on eBay that, okay, where's their negatives? Just a handful of negatives is really going to drop them. So it's always worth digging into when you're dealing with somebody on eBay, though most of the time you should be covered on the money-back guarantee type thing. eBay always sides with the buyer, even, when they shouldn't at times. But, Yeah, these feedbacks seem weird. Never heard from them, never received my item. These are all from past year. Paid a ton of money, never heard from them. Never heard from them. It seems like some of these three are all the same person, but then this one down here, they're the same person. This one down here, they paid $1,625 for Ease Origin for the Switch. That might have been a charity auction too, I don't know, but they never heard from them. That's nuts, kind of weird, but back to this auction. So all the proceeds will support St. Jude. Now, St. Jude is a research hospital for children treating and defeating childhood cancer and other life-threatening diseases. And, they take care of the kids. Families don't receive bills. I'm all for charities that help kids with medical emergencies and crisis and all that kind of stuff. It's a crazy thing to have to deal with. So definitely, I always back, children's hospitals and whatnot. But nothing against St. Jude's at all. But I always have to say, if it comes down to like charitable contributions, always look at the charity that you're dealing with and see how much of those proceeds that you donate actually go to whatever that charity is. Because there are times where for every dollar that you donate, only 10 cents goes to the actual thing of the charity. The other 90% could just go to operating costs for their CEO to fly to Hawaii, to go to a convention, to host parties. And so it's crazy. Like, dig into it. Find out where your money's actually going. But like I said, nothing against St. Jude. That's kind of a blanket statement. All for like charities that have to do with kids, with medical stuff, and veterans. That's kind of where I stand. I don't really, know every charity out there, but those are the kind of ones I support, is veterans and children's stuff. But that's where this is going. 90% near mint grade by VGA Grader. It's got this game that normally would have been $65. So the grade at 90%, I don't know, maybe it's that little ding in the corner there, is going to bump up that price. It's already at almost 10 times the value of what the game costs. San Diego Comic-Con exclusive variant, which they will be reselling again coming up. I'll show you in a second. But also St. Jude, the charity, is going to bump up the value. So whatever the final price is on this, who knows, like, what it could be. It could be thousands of dollars, It's all going to go to St. Jude. It's not going to benefit Limited Run or VGA. It's all going to St. Jude from the way this sounds. So that's a positive. But then whoever gets this in their hands, I mean, is there anything to say that this is specifically the charity one? Is there going to be a sticker on there? I don't know, because then you could argue, well, if it has a little like donated to St. Jude's thing on there, it could be like, oh, worth more to somebody else. I don't know, right? But okay, real quick, I'm really curious to hear your guys' take on this. Like, I think it's a good thing. I'm just not for the grading stuff. But hey, if it benefits something, positive, okay, I guess. I mean, we can let that one slide, right? But okay, this last chance convention leftover sale, I don't know how they had leftovers. Typically, like, you would sell out, but these are probably like ones they had set aside maybe. At the end of October, you can sign up for the wish list or whatever. They're going to have this Switch variant, the Comic-Con exclusive variant, for $65 if you're lucky enough to grab one. They also have the PS5 one. But before we end it, let's take a look at some of these comments real quick. Worthy cause, but game grading is a complete scam. I pretty much agree with that. It is a worthy cause, but game grading in general, it's just like to each their own. This person, it's not a scam, just that specific grading company and auction house that were outed are falsely inflating the worth. WADA and Heritage Auctions, right? And it's not going through any of that. There are other copies to play. No one is grading modern copies of used games. Pokemon cards are meant to be used. Pokemon cards are meant to be played. It's a scam. Explain how a game costs, for example, $50 at retail, but when they grade it, it's worth hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands. So it's just like a lot of people going back and forth on, it's fine, it's not fine. It's kind of a weird thing, How do you compare? Like, people are fine with like baseball cards being graded, which you don't use baseball cards for anything other than to stare at them. Football cards, basketball, to look at them, right? They're collectibles. But when it comes to something that can be viewed as a collectible but also be used at the same time, like a Pokemon card, a Magic the Gathering card, Yu-Gi-Oh card, a video game that they have a purpose outside of looking at and collecting, that's when people are more against it. And I mean, is it kind of having like a double standard? I guess, but you know, to each their own. If it's your item, you own it, you do with it as you please. I could care less, but for me personally, I'm not gonna like go and get things graded. You know what I mean? WADA and how they inflated their own prices was a scam, but video game grading overall is not a scam. It's basically a professional opinion on condition, and that's the main thing. It is an opinion with that grade on condition, encased in plastic to preserve that condition. Some people are willing to pay a little extra and ensure what they get is in the condition they want. It's not really a little extra. Ask yourself, what are you willing to pay more for? A copy of a game with a scratched up disc or a gorgeous minty scratch-free copy? But if it's encased in plastic, that doesn't really go hand in hand. So yeah, this comment section is kind of all over the place. You know, some people making some very valid points about grading versus not grading. I did just see this one as well. You could have done something better than grading it. You could have had a guy go to Japan, get it signed by a couple of the creators, then auction it off. Also, you could send it to the contracted person out in Japan, have them go get the thing signed, then auction it off. I would have loved something signed by some of the creators than a graded item, because it's the specialty of it being something of one of a kind that's more desirable. Too much effort, too much money and effort. This was easier. Definitely was easier. Limited Run is making a lot of money, so basically all they did was grab one of their boxes, sent it. They didn't send it to WADA, but they sent it to VGA for the grade, and that was it. Yeah, they didn't. They sent it to VGA. I've seen some people saying that people still value VGA. I don't know too much about all these different companies, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them doing something more interesting than grading. If it was signed, something, I don't know, but just putting it in plastic and it you know, there could be a bunch of them that get graded at and look identical to this one. So I don't know. I mean, it's a good cause. It's an interesting thing. I'd really like to hear what you guys got to say about this whole, you know, grading of video games. Like I say, I'm not really against this, what Limited Run's doing with this particular instance. You know, hopefully whoever wins this and, you know, pays the tons of money to get it in their hands, it means something to them. It's more about them donating to this charity than, you know, anything else in my eyes. That's what it should be, right? But yeah, you know, curious what you guys got to think. Thanks for watching. Bye.